Hello and welcome to Cycles of Time, your weekly guide to what's happening on Earth as we make our revolutionary journey around the sun. For time immemorial, our human ancestors have created myths and meanings to help us adapt and thrive as seasons change. Join me each week to explore the intersections of these ancient cycles, from the indigenous medicine wheel to the pagan wheel of the year, the Babylonian and Greek zodiac to the I Ching, the ancient Chinese book of changes. I'm your host, Alison Dale, and this is the Cycles of Time podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's Cosmic Energy Report. This is the week of July 21st to 27th, 2025, and the Astro-Human design of this week. Main theme are the new moon in Leo in the gate of influence and entering Leo season, of course. This week, the sleeping lion is lifting its heavy mane and we're heading into a new season. Mercury retrograde in Leo started last Friday. This Tuesday, the sun enters Leo. And Friday, we celebrate this year's new moon in Leo. So the lion is awakening. On Monday, today, if you're listening to this when it's released, Monday's the moon day. You know, every day of the week has a association with a planet. Sunday is Sunday, Monday is Moon Day, Tuesday is Mars Day, Martes. But Moon Day is a great time to take a cue from Cancer's ruler, the moon, and reflect on what happened during the entirety of the season of the crab that is just the very tail end of it this week and entering Leo season on Tuesday. How did Cancer season show up for you guys out there, all you listeners out there in TV land? Jupiter was co-present with the sun in Cancer for the entire season, so it might have felt truly extra this year. You can look to the house in your chart that the sign of Cancer falls to see where you may have felt an intensity of inward seeking and a desire to nurture or be nurtured. All of those Cancerian themes. Jupiter and the sun traveling through the sign of Cancer together might have just made it a pretty Cancerian Cancer season. Definitely was for me. This is the part of your chart where Jupiter will remain for the next 11 months. So Cancer's elemental archetypes will remain prominent through this year and into next. But the sun is moving on from the crab into the lion's den this week. My 12th house solar season is finally coming to an end. Every Cancer season, every summer, I experience the depths of the 12th house, the subconscious, the hidden enemies, the behind the scenes kinds of things in the heat of summer. So I'm always looking out and seeing people just rollicking and frolicking through summer and feeling very inward. If you haven't noticed, I've been mentioning that in the past few episodes. But I'm excited because I'm a Leo rising. So, here we go. Going into Leo season is always a vibe change in mid-July into August for me. But this year, Mercury is retrograde in Leo. So it's a little bit of a, review period as well there. It's not full steam ahead with lions bouncing from rock to rock. It's a little bit of a slow-moving lion season with Mercury retrograde there too. So wherever Leo is in your chart, know that you're having Mercury retrograde there as well. But this last season has been Cancer season was just so many cosmic internal excavations. And the 12th house, like I said, it rules the subconscious and what's hidden from sight. So the sun shining on that place along with Jupiter's expansive rays definitely brought some deeply buried traumas and patterns to the surface for me. So this is probably the first week that I've really felt like it's challenging to get this podcast out. I've done it for over a year, almost a year and a half now, every single week. And it's been such a delight to do. And this week it's felt a little bit more challenging. I'm headed camping this week, so I'm excited to get out of Dodge, just get into the woods for a couple of days. So I'm recording this a little bit early and making it happen. But definitely has been a season. I will say that much. Cancer season has been everything that you could imagine a 12th house Cancer season with Jupiter co-present might be. It does feel like I'm reaching a light at the end of the tunnel in some ways, though. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the last month has appropriately been very emotional, very kind of ebbing and flowing, and very tidal. Leo, on the other hand, is ruled by the sun, so the light at the end of the tunnel metaphor kind of seems apt. There is something shining that feels like there's the cloud is going to burst kind of situation. And Leo's all about how we shine out in the world through our creative self-expression and pride. And so, welcome to Leo season, everybody. Here we are. The human design gate that carries us from Cancer's lunar emotions to Leo's solar expression is gate 56, where the sun will be traveling from Monday through Thursday this week. It's known as the gate of stimulation, the gate of the wanderer, and the gate of the storyteller. And it encourages us to bring the wisdom that was cultivated by our emotional excavations and reflections over Cancer season into the light. And it encourages us to share stories of our experiences as we wander, we break out of our shell and wander through the external world of late summer. In the Gene Keys, the shadow of gate 56 is distraction, the gift is enrichment, and the city is intoxication. And it's all about bringing the inside out and also kind of reveling in the fact that everyone else is also doing that this time of year. We're all exiting Sun in Cancer moments of that deep internal reflection, lunar kind of modality and entering the light of the sun. And so a lot is coming to light right now. The 56 gift has an alchemical flavor in the Gene Keys, where it's all about knowing how to transmute low frequencies into joy and into purpose. And people who have this gate active in their charts are often able to show people how their problems are actually wonderful opportunities with a lot of lightness and humor. People with 56 tend to enrich others by what they have learned in life with gratitude for the moments as they pass, for all of the ups and downs. And so the gate of the wanderer, the gate of stimulation, it's about seeking and not being afraid of the bumps on the road kind of thing, and being able to bring that kind of perspective of gratitude and optimism to the table. So this week, the sun is in gate 56 until Thursday, actually, and then late on Thursday, it'll move into the next gate. But for the beginning part of this week, we are in gate 56, storytelling, wandering, break out of our Cancerian shells kind of season. So we can expect more conversations, more revelations, and more transmutations of pain into purpose. And then also more creativity expressed through yourself and others as the sun transits through this gate. For me, I can't even tell you how relevant this transit feels to me. Gate 56, I did speak about it last week in last week's episode as well, so you can go back and listen to that for a little bit more of a deep dive into gate 56. But for me, it's really been interesting because when the sun entered the gate of the wandering storyteller today, on Saturday when I'm recording this, a sudden urge came over me to write. And I write a lot. I write blog posts, I write articles, I write informational pieces, and a lot of what I write is researched. It's synthesis. It's bringing together disparate fields of information. But what I was compelled to write with the gate of the wanderer, the gate of the storyteller, being activated with the sun's transit there was not a researched article, not a podcast transcript, but a story. I used to do a lot of story creative writing, and it's been a while since I have, because I've been on just deep research mode and deep, looking at all these different systems mode. But this time I was really compelled to write my story, not just any story, but my story. And it really felt appropriate, like I had cultivated the deep, deep depths that I accessed during Cancer season. A lot of kind of hidden shadow material and past experiences coming to light. And I was able to just, the words were flowing out of me. I was able to write, I don't know, dozens of pages and kind of create a powerful story arc to my experiences that I was unable to see before. And yeah, the words just kind of flowed out of my heart down to my fingers and onto the page. And just, I wrote and wrote and wrote. And it was so therapeutic and so cathartic. And as I wrote my story, I also had my astrology app. I used the app Luna, and I had that up on my computer, and I felt called to check on the transits of some pivotal life moments that I've had, like my near-death experience in a house fire, period of living in a van and homelessness, starting a company, the birth of my daughter, my divorce, lots of, big life moments. And I decided to kind of go back and do some astrological archaeology and look back as I was writing and saying what transits were activated then. And it really was quite an insane experience. It was mind-boggling to see the planetary dances, especially between Saturn and Pluto, which are both conjunct my IC in my chart. So pretty powerful little triple conjunction there at the bottom of my chart. These planets aligned impeccably with these moments of my life, some angles to those planets, and the story continues to gel and flow out of me as we make our way through the gate of the storyteller. And I'm on a roll. It's a memoir writing time in midlife. I'm 41, so it's about that time to start doing some deep reflection with all of these planets in retrograde motion. So it's deep, and it's laden with just unbelievable symbolism when I bring the astrology in, and it's laden with a lot of pain and a lot of becoming and a lot of transmutation. And I do hope to share the story one day, but right now it's for me, and it's this amazing process. And I just thought it was wild that the gate of the storyteller hit, and it was like, oh, here it comes. Here's the story that's been wanting to come out. And yeah, and it was definitely like off the back of Cancer season, and that's how I like to describe this gate, as the cusp gate between Cancer and Leo. It's like we're in this energy of kind of seeing what's risen to the surface from our emotional wisdom and being able to translate that into details, which was last week's gate, and then into words, into stories, which are really how humans are meant to receive information, I believe, is through storytelling. So I'm curious what stories are arising in you during the sun's transit through the gate of the Wanderer. If you feel compelled to write or to record yourself on audio or to share stories with loved ones as they relate to your personal unfolding, this is definitely the week to do it. So don't hold back. Tell your tale. Everybody's got a story to tell, and they're all oftentimes so much more powerful than you think they're going to be. Their relatability. I had a friend over for dinner last night and shared some stories with her in this kind of unexpected way, and she shared some stories with me, and just the way that the stories overlapped and unfolded was such a beautiful connection to really bring how you view your life's unfoldment into the world. So do some writing, do some storytelling this week, do some audio recordings. For me, it's clarified so much about my past and about my path ahead. And so I'm strongly considering actually hosting an offering that combines memoir writing and transit tracking, kind of looking at your past transits. And so I'm thinking about offering this in the near future, especially as it relates to big midlife outer planet transits like your Saturn return, your Pluto square Pluto, Neptune square Neptune, and Uranus opposition. These are all midlife transits. Saturn return is a little bit before midlife, but there are all these major outer planetary transits that are majorly impactful on life. And so looking at those either in retrospect or looking at certain transits that you've gone through in conjunction with major events in your life can be a really beautiful way to bring awareness and reflection to your story. So let me know if you'd be interested in joining for something like this, kind of a meet me at the crossroads midlife transit, or not necessarily only midlife, but a transit memoir writing workshop. I'm excited about offering it, so it will be coming soon, but I'd love to hear if you'd be interested in participating in something like that. So moving along from Gate 56 into the rest of the week, I'll just do a recap of this week in the Wheel of the Year, since I didn't do that in the beginning. We are in the medicine wheel direction south, kind of coming to the end of the south and moving along to the west. In the middle of Leo season, we'll be moving along to the western part of the wheel. But right now we're still in that fiery south. It's still very hot, it's still very summer, it's still very vibrant, but I'm seeing the flickers of that of the energy there changing a little bit as we kind of wind down summer a little bit. In the whooshing cycle, we are in the element of fire still in this summer, heading towards the earth element of late summer. We're getting there. It's feeling like that shift is happening, at least where I am. And, with the whooshing cycle, with the medicine wheel, these are cycles that are not set in stone with dates necessarily, in the way that the zodiac seasons and the human design or I Ching gates are. These inner wheels in the cycles of time mandala are a lot more fluidic, and they're location based, and they can even be how you feel in your own body, how you feel at this point in time. It could be different from the season, but as far as the seasons go, where I am, it feels like we're shifting from the drama and flair and fieriness of like summer solstice fire, into a more earthy, grounded kind of like hints of seasons changing. So that's what's happening on the inner wheels. We are in the pagan season of Litha, which was midsummer, and Lammas or Lunasa, the pagan cross-quarter day, is coming August 1st. So we'll talk about Lammas, the cross-quarter day, pagan holy day, next week. We're moving this week from the zodiac season of Cancer into Leo on July 22nd. And the I Ching hexagram and human design gates of the week are the gate of stimulation, or the wanderer, or the storyteller. This is known as fire over mountain in the I Ching, and kind of evokes that notion of fire traveling, a wildfire traveling quickly over a mountain and picking up information from everything that it touches, as well as spreading its own light. That's from last Saturday through Thursday, and then from Thursday, July 24th through Sunday, or actually through Wednesday, July 30th, the sun is traveling through the gate of influence. This is gate 31. It's known as Lake over Mountain in the I Ching, and it is also known as influence or change in the I Ching. And then the moon phase this week is a new moon in Leo, and that's in gate 31, that gate of influential leadership. And as far as the planetary dances, the one I'm going to mention is that new moon makes angles to pretty much all of the outer planets. But a big one is that the sun in Leo is opposite Pluto in Aquarius exactly on Friday, July 25th. But that new moon the day before that is pretty close to being opposite Pluto in Aquarius as well. So we are entering Leo season and immediately meeting an opposition with Pluto, which is, in the early degrees of Aquarius. And so there's a polarity on that axis between the lion and the water bearer, between self-expression and collective expression. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But so we've already talked a bit about the gate of stimulation, the wanderer, the storyteller. So I won't go too much more into that. It's really just a great week to share your story and to allow yourself to feel enriched by the stories that you are being told as well. And then, as the sun moves on and meets the moon in gate 31, it is a little bit of a change of the vibe. Thursday, it moves kind of from the wanderings and stories of stimulating gate 56 to a leadership in gate of influence, where it's immediately joined by the moon pretty much as soon as it gets into that gate. So the new moon always invites a pause. It's new moons are kind of threshold moments where what is visible recedes and the fertile dark opens. I always think of new moons as just dark sky nights, the time when you can see the stars more clearly, when you can see the constellations more clearly. And so in this darkened sky, seeds of new intention can take root, and new moons are great for manifestation, for planting seeds of intention, for thinking about what you want to see grow from the new moon until the full moon. And it's never an immediate result. It's definitely the silence before the emergence. It's this place of pause and a place of pure potential where the future begins to take shape within that darkness, kind of like deep, rich, fertile soil. So on July 24th, on Thursday, the moon is joining the sun at 2 degrees of Leo, and it's right on human design gates 31, gate of influence. This gate sits in the throat center, and the throat center is the locus of communication and manifestation, speaking truth to power, speaking things into the world and making them real is what the throat center is all about. And influence in this place is speaking the language of leadership and really shaping direction through the spoken word. Gate 31 forms in the body graph, it forms half of the channel of the alpha. So gate 31 connects to gate 7, which is another leadership gate known as the army. And this creates the channel of the alpha, where it's a kind of configuration that's dedicated to collective leadership that requires recognition before expression. So in gate 31, definitely a leadership energy at the end of this week, but it's all about leadership that depends on timing and alignment and being alert to the present moment. It's really like a voice that waits for the moment when it will be heard and embraced by the community that it serves. So it's not kind of a dictatorial leadership. It's very much a community-based, leading from behind type of gate, more about kind of attracting people with one's ideas rather than telling people how it's going to go down. So in the I Ching, the hexagram 31 is called influence as well, and it's also called attraction. And this reflects, like a power of resonance. It's leadership through resonance that moves people to act or to follow or to join forces from within. It's, we'd think about influencers out in the world and what is an influencer and how do they become an influencer. But it really is about this like resonant frequency where words that are spoken and images that are put out reflect what the collective already senses but hasn't yet named. I think influencers, good influencers, or people who do influence the masses, are able to tap into the collective conscious in a certain way and tap into what's already out there, what's being put out by the collective, and then just really speaking it back to the collective. And I remember a long time ago watching a show called the Cool Hunters or something like that. It was on PBS, and it was about how there's this job where people are set out to go find trends and styles out in the world and then see what's cool and then kind of bring that back to the brands, to these companies, and they will package it and sell it to people. But it's really, there are people that are kind of alert to what's cool before it's cool, right? Before it's hitting the masses. And so this is that type of energy this week. It's after we've kind of told stories and we've gotten feedback and we've listened to other stories, we've gathered, we've wandered, we've seen what's out there that's like this pure like beautiful quality of realness after Cancer season, where Cancer brings the realness because it's like we're tapping in with our emotions in a way that we don't in almost any other season. And then right after that, we're starting to share about them. We're starting to connect and recognizing that summer's not going to last forever. And so we got to kind of get out there and start to check in after our vacations or after, summer camps or whatever it is, checking in, being like, oh, how are you doing? How's your summer been? And then hearing the stories that are deep and resonant. And so after that gate, the influence, the ability to sense what's happening in the collective is palpable. And that's really what I'm sensing this week is I'm feeling like a lot more outreach. I'm feeling a lot more people sharing what's real for them, what's deep for them. I'm finding myself doing the same more than I was earlier in the summer, just all of a sudden. And so yeah, it's a responsive energy where the lion is a pride, like Leo, the early stages of Leo. You think about baby lions, this early evolution of the sign of the lion, and young lions, like they roam around together. They're not solitary animals. They're not like shielding themselves for survival in the same way that the crabs are either. They know that they have a pack, they have a pride, and they are together. And so, you think about the young lion, this first gate of Leo season, and it's about kind of, showing people what you're all about, radiating your truth, and then seeing who's attracted to that and how you can influence people with that power of attraction. So, yeah, it's all about not being self-centered in your leadership. I think I heard about this gate originally as a leadership gate, and leadership is a loaded term. It's like, what does true leadership really mean? There's so many examples of good and bad leadership all around us. But in this sense, if we really contemplate and focus on an influential leadership for the collective, it's flowing from a deep and careful attunement to the needs and the mood of the collective field, like recognizing that you are part of the collective and you have influence over it as well. The Gene Keys describes this same archetype as a pathway from the shadow of arrogance through the gift of leadership and to the city of humility. So in the shadow form, this archetype seeks power for its own sake. It assumes authority before it's been earned or recognized. And I just like to think of a baby lion because they're cute, and I like to look at the gates of a season as kind of like the evolution of that creature or that archetype. And so this is like little Simba, in The Lion King, being very cocky and like, oh, this is all gonna be mine. This land is mine, and then recognizing that it's really about the circle of life, bro. Like we know that it's like all the animals are important in this network, and it's not just the gonna be Simba's land, and it takes him some trials and tribulations to figure that out. If you haven't seen The Lion King in a while, I recommend it. It's good. I haven't seen the new one, Mufasa. Maybe I should. I'm thinking back to 1992 or whatever with the original animated Lion King. But yeah, it's there's a certain arrogance in young Simba where he's like, this is all going to be mine. I can't wait to be king. I'm going to be a mighty king and like watch out. But then, he gets checked by many different experiences, by Zazu, the little bird, by Nala, by his dad, by death, by the elephant graveyard, by, manipulation, all kinds of things come about in that movie. And for this poor little lion to move from arrogance into true leadership, and that is eventually a humble leadership, a deep understanding that it takes, that leadership is about understanding what all of the animals of the kingdom need, Right. So, Lion King tangent over, it just kind of came to me that that is so much about like Gate 31 and the Lion King are so connected as far as how that goes. It's yeah, the archetype moving from that authoritarian or arrogant kind of way of like, oh yeah, this is mine. It matures into true leadership where when it is attuned to the collective need. And then the culmination of that spiritual path is humility, where leadership becomes transparent and devoid of personal agenda and rests in service to the whole entirely. And so, you know, each one of these gates through the gene keys has these levels, these kind of energetic frequencies. And the first one is always based in fear. The shadow is always based in fear. So arrogance is typically based in fear. And then you get more and more towards love and more towards universal understanding as you move through these frequencies. So this new moon in this gate is a perfect time to examine the subtle ways that influence is sought or wielded or withheld. And it invites us to reflect on whether our words emerge from alignment with inner clarity or for an unconscious desire for control or validation. This new moon moment is calling for kind of a recalibration about how authority and leadership is embodied, and it offers an opportunity to plant seeds of truth and clear purpose in how it is that you want to influence the world. Gate 31's influence is not really only about political or hierarchical leadership, but it's about the quality of presence, the quality of being in your life that creates coherence among you to the collective. It's a voice that shapes direction, because it's been invited to speak and not because it's demanding attention. So there's a humility, a humbleness here, and that's definitely something that is good to enter Leo season with, because Leo, especially during a retrograde Leo season, Mercury retrograde Leo season, there can be a tendency after all that inward reflection of Cancer season to really want to just like bust out and be like, here I am, I'm on stage, and like I have a lot to say. But entering it with this gate of just like recognizing how it is that you impact people. It's a good way to enter Leo season, I'll say. It's like true influence arises when a person becomes really a vessel for deeper collective wisdom and articulates what others already feel out there in the collective. So, the new moon in Gate 31 is inviting a new cycle of leadership that's rooted in humility and responsiveness. And it suggests a turning point where authentic leadership begins more with listening and less with your own ambition. It's a good time to set intentions, to begin anew with like how to influence people in a service-based way and become a voice that aligns with people and with the collective and hold leadership that reflects back what is true for the whole. So the dark sky of this new moon offers space for these seeds to take root, and the threshold is open. You can ask yourself what you want to shape with your voice or with your words, with your images, with your posts. What will you guide into being with your presence? What is it that you're picking up from the collective and then putting back down for people to resonate with? In the stillness of this new moon, leadership itself can be reimagined and reclaimed as a gift to the collective rather than as a personal quest. So that is some new moon energy. And a little more about the new moon. It, like I mentioned earlier, it's making aspects to pretty much all of the outer planets. It's opposite Pluto in Aquarius. It's trine Saturn and Neptune in Aries. It's square Chiron in Aries, and it's sextile to Uranus in Gemini. So if that sounds like a mouthful, it's because it is. But these are all as you know, if you've been listening, that all of the outer planets have changed signs in the past year, the past several months, really. And they're all in the first degrees of new signs after spending significant amounts of time in other signs. So Uranus is new into Gemini, Saturn and Neptune are very new into Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius is pretty new in Aquarius after spending many years in Capricorn. So there's lots of, this is like the huge deal in astrology right now, is that all of the outer planets have changed signs and everything is different now, and we feel it, right? I do. I know everybody feels it. It's something is different. And Chiron in Aries is not actually a planet. Chiron is the comet or asteroid, the wounded healer, and it is not at the early degrees, but it is making a square to this new moon. So I thought I'd mention it as well. And so the new moon is at 2 degrees of Leo, and it's again in gate 31, the gate of influence, as I mentioned, as we talked about. And directly across from that, Pluto is in Aquarius at gate 41, which is known as the gate of contraction. And this is the start codon gate. If you're familiar with human design at all, this is like the human design new year gate, where when the sun enters gate 41, it's considered the new year because it's correlated with the start codon in the genetic code in DNA. And it's about kind of contraction. I like to think about it as contraction before birth. It's like not the birth of a new year, but it's the contractions that are happening. Like in a human birth, contractions have to happen for the birth to occur. So the opposition between this gate of leadership and this gate of contraction is an interesting one. Its oppositions always create an awareness of the polarity, the mirroring between two seemingly opposite energies, but it's actually along a kind of unified axis. And the axis between Aquarius and Leo is the axis of expression, at least how I see it. I see Leo as self-expression and Aquarius as expression of the collective. And this new moon is about influence and stepping forward as individual leaders, individual influencers, noticing how our personal selfhood affects the collective. And across the sky from that, kind of like a full moon to this new moon, that opposition, Pluto is really applying pressure to distill and strip everything down to what is truly essential, the contracting before birth, like really just bringing it into the bare bones. So the Pluto opposition to this new moon is asking us, before we step into this new leadership, what excess needs to fall away and what motivations might still be in that shadow level of kind of arrogance, and what stories no longer fit with the leadership that is needed right now. So Pluto opposite the sun and moon, people, Pluto's a planet that people don't always are not always keen to see in a hard angle, like an opposition or a square to something like a new moon. It can feel a little daunting, but it's really about revealing what is hidden. And that's what Pluto does. It digs underground, you get dirty, you come up with gold. If you're willing to get dirty enough, you can find the riches that have been hiding underground. And so this is about, considering the collective needs within our own self-expression and considering our own self-expression within the collective on that Leo Aquarius axis. And then also considering how you can strip it down to the essential at this moment. We also have the new moon in Leo making a sextile to Uranus in Gemini in gate 20, and that is known as the gate of the now. Uranus is all about shaking things up and disrupting patterns and bringing breakthroughs. And gate 20 is all about the power of now, the present moment, being in the current frequency. And so this sextiles are harmonious flowing aspects, kind of bringing energies together. And this sextile says it really means like breakthroughs that you might need in order to really grok this Pluto in Aquarius new moon in Leo opposition. There might be a little bit of a breakthrough energy coming from Uranus that can help to kind of shake something loose and understand the realness of the matter. And so that might only happen though if you're fully present and paying attention to the current moment, because we have Uranus there in the gate of the now. There's a fresh and clear energy here that supports spontaneous leadership and intuitive action. So there might be some things rising to the surface, some actions taken. And then we have Saturn and Neptune over in Aries, who are traveling together now, both in retrograde motion back towards Pisces, but they're still in the first degrees of Aries in gate 25. And this is known as the gate of innocence. So they're making a trine to the new moon, and trines are, again, harmonious, flowing, but more powerful than sextiles. They're like beautiful and supportive currents of energy that flows between these two planets. And Saturn brings discipline to the innocence of this gate, and offers structure and maturity to this feeling of innocence and universal love, is what gate 25 is all about. And Neptune is the great dissolver, and so is dissolving walls around the heart and opening up compassion. So, with the trine to the gate of leadership, where the new moon is, this gate of influence, it really encourages and might see a rise in leadership that's grounded in that humility and integrity, that holds care at its center and holds this notion of universal love in that innocent way that first gate of Aries really brings to the table. Then we have Chiron in the late degrees of Aries at gate 3, which is the gate of ordering, and this makes a square with the new moon. And squares are friction points, but I do also like to think of them as doorways that we can open and walk through to a more integrated place after learning of something about the tension between the squaring planets. So I think of squares as opportunities. I don't really think of any of these angles as bad. Oppositions are mirrors, and squares are doorways and opportunities to move energy through, but you will have to meet the door and then open it. You have to, it's not going to be just smoothly flowing energy in the way that trines and sextiles are. We have Chiron, the wounded healer, in gate 3, which is kind of centering on the pain and the healing that can come from trying to bring order out of chaos. Gate 3 is known as ordering, and so Chiron there is about how we put order to things. It's and how that can cause pain. This square could feel like the pressure to get everything in order before you can speak or lead, but really it's an invitation to hold the messiness gently and not have things have to be perfect or in perfect order, because leadership doesn't require perfection. It requires simply radiating what you believe to be true and attracting people back with your truth. Know that influence can emerge even when things are still taking shape, even though this square to Chiron in the gate of ordering might make it feel like there's a door in front of your face that's kind of like, well, I can't move through that unless I turn the knob or find the key. And so there, Chiron is a key glyph, a key shape. And so it's about trying to find a key of like how much order you can bring to a situation, and then surrendering and releasing what you can't, and still stepping in to Leo's limelight. Overall, we have all these aspects. to these outer planets at the first degrees of their new signs. And so this new moon is very rich and very layered this week. And then, the sun will stay close to these same angles for a bit longer. And so this is the kind of vibe. Yeah, Chiron square to the sun and moon. We have Saturn and Neptune square to the sun and moon. We have Pluto opposite in Aquarius, and then sextile to Uranus and Gemini. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there. It's really this deep message, or this new moon is really all about how we lead, how we use our voice, how we influence, and whether we can do that from a place of presence and humility and care and responsiveness to what is needed. And so there's a lot of different archetypes and elements that are calling out challenges to that right now. So I'd say take this new moon slow. It's a beautiful time for contemplation, for like after you've written your stories down or told them earlier in the week, to sit with what was said, to sit with what came up for you, and see how that is already influencing your immediate sphere, even just your own psyche. How is what you've put words to starting to influence how you're acting? And yeah, just paying attention to these things. This new moon in Leo really brings it all back to the heart. Leo is the ruler of the heart in medical astrology, and so it's all about courage and the courage to be authentic and visible in the world, and the courage to put your creative expression out there. Leo and this first gate, full gate of Leo, is reminding us that leadership isn't really just about directing others, but about shining from a place of deep integrity and truth and your inner light. Leo invites us to show up fully and claim space with sincerity and express ourselves with warmth and generosity. So, as you reflect on all of these aspects and alignments, or look into them, know that this new moon is really asking you to consider what it means to lead from the heart and to act in ways that honor your deepest truth, your deepest love, and your deepest authenticity, and let your inner radiance shape the collective in a way that is both grounded and generous. So I hope you have a wonderful week as we distill these emotions of Cancer season into stories that serve ourselves and others and influence others. Leo season, yeah, it's different. I'm going to be doing an episode about the 6 human design gates of Leo season as we evolve from that little lion cub to the Mufasa on Pride Rock, and how we get there. And it's always interesting to see how the 6 human design gates of any zodiac season kind of lend themselves to the archetypical themes and create this evolutionary arc and this story. So look out for that soon. I'll be recording that as well. And I'll see you next week for a Mercury Cazimi in Leo, the point in the Mercury retrograde where the sun meets Mercury, and kind of the Mercury sits on the throne of the sun and gets a certain download and enlightenment of communication within a otherwise slowed down retrograde period. So we have that next week. We also have celebrations of the pagan cross quarter holy day of Lammas or Lugnasa. This is celebrated midway through Leo season, the first of the 3 harvest festivals in the pagan wheel of the year. And I'm going to talk about it next week because it's celebrated widely on August 1st, but in the actual astrology of it, it's at 15 degrees of Leo, which wouldn't be until the following week in kind of the middle point there. But because it's celebrated widely on August 1st, just in the Gregorian calendar, we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, this first of the harvest festivals, it's about baking bread with the first harvest of grain, and it brings a subtle change in seasons. in the whooshing cycle, this marks a shift from fire to earth, this vibrant fire season to a more grounded earth. And in the medicine wheel, in the Ojibwe medicine wheel that I follow, summer's fire is going to be shifting to the mature and emotionally connected season of water and the direction west. So starting next week and beyond, there is a subtle and not so subtle shift in this kind of seasonal energy in these wheels. So if you join as a paid subscriber on Substack, you can learn much more about the season's elements and archetypes. I'm just about to send out the Leo season guidebook, which is packed with journaling prompts and somatic exercises and information about the elements and archetypes and the astro human design of the month ahead. I put together these 40 to 50 page guidebooks every month and send them out to paid subscribers. And paid subscribers also get access to the monthly seasonal guided breathwork sessions, where we do a conscious connected breathwork session on Zoom that taps into the themes and energies of the zodiac season. So the next one is going to be on July 30th for Leo season, about embodying our inner radiance and our self-expression and creativity. So I hope to see you there. You can sign up on cyclesoftime.substack.com. Scroll to the bottom. There's a link to sign up. You can also sign up on my website at astrosomatics.com. And if you'd like to know how these energies show up in your specific chart, I do Astro-HD, Astro Human Design kind of combined readings where I look at your birth chart and your human design chart, and we see kind of how these transits are showing up for you, a transit reading, or also kind of how you are meant to shine in your unique way through this combination of astrology and human design, these specific energies and how they show up for your life. So you can book a reading with me through my website at astrosomatics.com. There's a few different reading types, so I'd love to chat with you if you are interested. And on my Substack this week, I put a little sneak peek of what the guidebooks are like, just a few pages of the guidebook, so you can get a little sense of that. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you again soon next week. Have a beautiful start to Leo season. Write those stories, tell those stories. Let your heart reach through your arms to your hands to your fingers and onto the page. I recommend it, especially this week. So I'll talk to you again soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye.